Welcome to another episode of Golden Nuggets Tea and Tales, Season 2, powered by Husby, served by Yasin Valimulla. Yasin, I want to know, what's been your most memorable closing story and what made it so special?
Well, in the past 15 years, I'd say there's probably quite a few different ones. I think one of the most interesting ones over the 15 years, and even now when I think about it, it's quite incredible that the deal even transpired, was about maybe 5 years back. I had a client who'd come from a lawyer friend of mine in Dubai.
Referral. Professional network referral.
Yeah, it was a network of mine. And the client was from Saudi and he was part of the royal family. And lawyer said, listen, I've got a client, I'm going to give him to you because you do the palm. He wants a palm signature villa. Perfect. Tried calling him, doesn't pick up the phone. And I said to the lawyer, listen, this guy's really difficult. I know he's a certain type of individual, but unless I speak to him, it's very difficult to get anything out of this guy. And this was in the days where we used to use Blackberries. So actually, it must have been 7, 8 years back. So it was all is it BBM?
BB pin. No, BBM me, yes.
Yeah, because it wasn't WhatsApps in those, I remember. And he said, no, the client won't pick up the phone. You've got to BBM him.
Yeah.
Right, but he's got a budget of 40 million. He wants to buy a signature villa on the palm. And you just want me to BBM him. Yeah, just send him a BB. Anyway, back and forth with this guy. He was like, listen, just send me an email with whatever you've got. And I generally like to sit down with clients or at least have some conversation with them. The worst case, if I can't sit down with them, at least a phone conversation because it's very difficult. A lot of back and forth unless you actually get a version of what they're looking for. But very standoffish, quite cold, let's say. No, just send me options.
BBM.
Yeah, and I was like, fine. Ended up finding a villa, interestingly, with another agent. And I said to the other agent, or she said to me, listen, I've got this villa, because I've always worked with a network of agents as well, because I'm never going to have all the stock.
Yeah.
And from what I could gather, he wanted a very high number on a certain front with a certain view and X, Y, and Z. At the time, I didn't have anything to offer. So went into my networks. One of the networks, a friend of mine said, listen, I do have a villa, which kind of ticks the boxes. However, I've never seen the villa, right? Also owned by a Saudi, interesting. But I'll try and get you some pictures. I said, please try, because I could tell from the number what layout it was. So she went, just took some external pictures, and then the owner had sent her some horrible internal pictures from a Nokia or whatever he'd taken them from. She sends them to me. She goes, send these pictures. I was like, oh my God, these are horrible, horrendous pictures. And it was 37 million at the asking price. She goes, owners, because a lot of the owners, especially the private ones, don't want you taking professional pictures because they've got... You think that you're going to send it across and people are going to find out they've got their property for sale and they're so they don't want anyone to know.
And this and that,
Anyway, she sends me these horrible pictures. I email the horrible pictures to my Saudi client. BBM it up, send you an email, let me know, back and forth. He finally gets back to me. Yeah, it looks really interesting. I'll take it.
Without seeing it?
Yeah, I'll take it. And I was like, right. And you get a lot of these, I'll take, yeah, of course you're going to take it. And what's the offer? I think it was 34 and a half. I can't remember what it was. But he goes, I'm only going to offer once, and it's my final offer. I don't want to go back and forth. Don't want any negotiation. This is my offer. Just take it or leave it, right? Go back to the agent. I've got you an offer. Agent's like, but you haven't seen the villa. And the agent's like, we haven't even seen that. None of us actually have seen this villa. And I was like, have you even got a title deed? Because I'm getting a bit nervous now, right? Because have you even got a copy?
This is all too easy.
Yeah. And she's like, no, I haven't got a title deed. Right, because we need to get a title. We need to see his passport. We need to make sure. And in those days, there was no form A, B, and F, what we have now. So it was all kind of done through conveyancing contracts, let's say. Tell you, cut long story short, client was insistent. I think at the end, they'd agreed to around 35 million. Of course, the lawyer was involved with all of this. We finally then got the title deed, got the contracts done, and we found out that they were related to each other.
I knew this was coming. I knew it was coming.
They had the same surname.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I got nervous, or we both got nervous, right? Because we thought, they're going to
find
names.
out.
What's stopping them? Because we didn't have A's and B's where we've got the buyer and seller, let's say, tied in. What's stopping them saying, oh, okay, that's interesting, and they're never to be heard from again?
Yeah.
And then they
closed it
do the
without
deal
you.
direct, right? So that was where we were a little bit nervous.
How did you deal with this one?
Well, luckily, because there was a lawyer involved. Now, keep in mind, the lawyer was also getting paid a fee from me because it was a referral, right? So it was in his interest that the deal was done properly, so he'd get his fee as well, right? So on his side, he handled it. And to be fair, both the buyer and seller, once the contract was done, it was quite clear they knew each other, but they respected the fact that the agent came from, and there was fees on both sides. There was a lot of, let's say, fees involved as well with a transaction like that. The transaction happened, went through. I've never seen the villa. That agent's never seen the villa.
No one ever.
And I've never heard from the client ever again.
Brilliant! What a memorable closing.
It's funny because the first ever villa that I sold in 2010 was a very similar story where there was a villa owned by a very, very big local individual. I don't want to say his name. It was rented. It was on Fronde. And he said, listen, I've got a villa on Fronde. There's a tenant in there. He's very, very... We didn't have the 1 year vacating notices in those days, but he's a bit funny. So if you've got a client, you've got to give me X, Y, and Z. And I had a client who was very interested in it. The first time we arranged a viewing on it, I waited an hour for the client. The client didn't turn up.
Right.
Tenant came out. He goes, there's no way I'm letting you in. A week later, the tenant's like, listen, I'll definitely turn up on time. Just please, I really want that villa. Fine. I said to the owner, just tell your tenant. And he said, I'm going to give you 15, 20 minutes. If your client doesn't come this time,
forget it.
Never again.
Yeah.
Guess what? The client didn't turn up.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, is this guy having a laugh or what? And this is why Dubai's so different, because you can never write these clients off. Yeah. So the client said, listen, Yash, don't worry, I'm going to go have a drive-by of the villa. He offered on it and he bought the villa.
Just from the...
Without even seeing it.
Wow.
So that's two villas that I sold where I never even saw the villa and neither did the buyer. It's just
or the buyer's agent.
And these are very high numbers we're talking. Right? This is not a couple of million dirhams.
Yeah.
Right? These are big double-digit numbers. And and it's just, and I think that was a big learning curve for me when I moved here. UK is very, very different. How things are done, and
they need to see it once, twice, bring their
hundreds
grandma.
of times, especially when it's that ticket price. Whereas here, there's a lot of trust involved, and clients genuinely will buy without seeing the property. If the property, the location, the built up X, Y, and as long as the basics tick the boxes, they'll just go ahead with it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite incredible.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Would you ever buy a double-digit million property without seeing it from the inside? Let us know in the comments.